All right. Tell us what the day is today, and your name and everything, and we'll begin.
January the 1st, 2001.
And give us your name
Pauline Robertson.
and how old are you, Steph? What do you want?
Do I have to tell you?
Yeah.
64.
Okay. All right. We're gonna start off first talking about how you grew up and talking about your childhood. Um, I guess the first question that would be appropriate to ask is where were you born at?
Greenup County, Kentucky.
Greenup County, Kentucky. And what year was that?
1936.
1936.
August the 4th.
August the 4th. Do you remember much about your childhood growing up? Anything that maybe sticks out in your mind?
Right now at this moment, quite a few things.
What would be one of the, if there was just something that sticks at the top of your head, what would it be?
Oh, where I went to school and my home place where I was born and raised, and certain little events that happened.
Do you remember any of those certain kind of events?
It's a long story. One of them is.
Oh.
Wow. Kind of unreal. Would you believe it?
Yeah.
It's going to take a while.
That's fine.
Okay. I was real young. I was probably 4 or 5 years old. And I went down the holler with my sister, older sister, Bernice. I called her Boonie. And we went down to my grandmother's. And so she got with my cousin, and they left. Got away from me, so I said, where did Boonie and Eunice go? Someone said they went down the road. So I go over to the road, and I look up and down the road, and I try to figure out which way is up and which way is down. And I figured that down was up, so I started down the road. And I got down the road about probably a mile down the road. I was a real little girl. And there wasn't any houses within miles at that time because the place wasn't growed up like it is now. The housing development wasn't there yet, and it was like miles between houses. So I was walking down the road, and I don't know, somehow songs have always been important to me, even when I was a real young child. And I started thinking about this song started going over in my mind. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I saw a band of angels coming after me, coming for to carry me home. And it seems like I looked over in the field, and it seems like I was imagining I could see that. And then all of a sudden I was standing there, and there was a man standing beside of me on this old dirt road. And all I saw was his pant legs, like he had overhaul pants on or something. And he took me by the hand, and he asked me where I was going. And I don't remember anything after that except I got back to my grandmother's house. I was lost. And I don't remember who the man was. I don't remember seeing his face or how I got back or anything. And I forgot about that. I never forgot about it, but I didn't think too much about it down through my years while I was growing up. Once in a while, that event would come back to me.
Mm-hmm.
And so after I got older, I thought, could that have been an angel protecting me? So that's just one of the important events that I remembered.
So, one could say then that religious belief in God was something that you developed at a very young age. Would that be fair to say?
At that time, I don't think I thought about God that much, but that song was going over in my mind, you know. And yes, I've always had faith even as a child.
Let's talk about your family for a minute. Um, do you remember much about your grandparents, for example?
My grandmother's, I do, but not my grandfather's.
Tell us a little bit about your grandmother.
Which one?
Either one.
My dad's mother, my grandma Barney, she was kind of old-fashioned, and she was a real gentle person. And you would never hear her scolding any of the children, no matter what they did. And she was just a gentle old lady, as I remember her. And I have always thought of her as a Christian person, you know, even though I don't even know if she professed anything. I never heard her talking about it, but I'm sure she was. But she's a very kind and gentle person.
What about your other grandmother?
My other grandmother, she was kind of different.
In what way?
She wasn't hateful. I've never seen her being hateful or mean, but she didn't seem to be as kind as my grandma Barney. And I took care of her a lot when I was a teenager and early teens, and even before that, I took care of my grandmother, and she depended on me a lot.
Why don't we talk now about your parents? Tell us a little bit maybe what they looked like and what you remember most about them.
What I still remember?
Yeah. We'll start off with your...
You asked the questions. I don't know what to say.
We'll start off with your father. What was he like? What did he look like?
He was tall. He was a good-looking man when he was real young. He had dark, real wavy hair, and he was good-looking. He was around 6 feet tall, and he was a hard worker. He worked on the railroad all of his life. It may have been the first job he ever had, and he retired from the railroad. And he would get up early, real early in the morning, and he had to walk to catch a ride to go to work on the railroad. And he would walk miles in the cold snow and so on, and then come back home, walk back home in the snow and ice a lot of times. But I don't ever remember him missing a day's work. And we had 2 farms, and sometimes he would walk to work and then walk back, and then on the way back in the evening he would stop off at the farm and help the boys on the farm until about dark, and then they would come home after working all day. And my father also was a minister, and he never would take any pay for preaching or marrying anyone or anything like that.
What is there a special event or something that sticks out in your mind about your father, or is it just maybe you can share something that just really comes to mind when you think about it?
No. Yeah. But I don't know if I should tell it. My father was, before he got saved and joined church, he had a real bad, vile mouth. And he would get mad. He had a real bad temper. And he swore a lot. And so I tried to copy after my dad a lot. So I did the same thing. And when I would get mad, I would cuss. And I didn't know what, my mom whipped me for it and corrected me for it, but didn't do any good. So, because I didn't know what was wrong about it, and so one day I was in the living room, jumping up and down on the bed, and my older sister was trying to get me to quit, and I started cussing her and swearing. And my dad heard me and came in, and he gave me a whipping for it, and that broke me right then and there. And I've never been one to swear or cuss ever since. but he quit that after he got salvation. He was a changed man.
Let's talk about your mother for a moment. Oh, well, let's go back. Is your father still alive?
No, he's been dead about 15 years.
15
Mm-hmm.
years. And is there any final thoughts you know, if you had a few words or a sentence, what would you say about your father, looking back? What kind of importance has he been in your life?
I would just think he was a hard worker, kind of ignorant sometimes about raising children, but he really didn't have time to raise them. My mom did. He was working all the time, but he was a good father, really.
Well, we'll talk about your mother now.